You get the call. A strategic buyer wants to have a conversation. Who do you call first? Your attorney? Your accountant? An investment banker? Your board? Or do you handle it yourself? Most CEOs think they have a plan, but as Mike Tyson famously said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Now, before you think this episode is about hiring transaction advisors because you're preparing to sell, it's not. This is about building strategic bench strength so that when strategic questions arise, capital, succession, unsolicited interest, you already know exactly who you're calling. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. While you're figuring out who to call, the buyer has been planning this approach for months. Their advisors are already in place. Their models are already built. They're counting on you being unprepared. The banks that maintain leverage don't build their advisor teams when someone calls. They build them years before anyone does. I'm Knutson. I founded and led a community bank as CEO and chairman. I've navigated the strategic decisions you face every day: raising capital, building a shareholder base, developing talent, and growing a bank customers proudly called their bank. I've been in your seat through every phase of a bank's life cycle. That's the perspective you'll hear every episode. Today, I want to walk you through the 3 specific advisors every CEO should know before they ever need them, and why simply having these relationships changes the entire power dynamic. Here's the principle to anchor this episode. When you bring serious people to the table, you signal that you're serious. Your advisor team doesn't just help you navigate a process, it changes how buyers engage with you. Professional buyers don't see experienced advisors as a threat. They see them as competence. Now let's talk about the 3 advisors, and the order matters. First, legal counsel. Legal counsel is usually the first call CEOs make during a process, but the relationship should be built long before one begins. After selling my bank, I can say with confidence, you want legal counsel with deep sell-side bank M&A experience. This is a complex process with hundreds of moving parts, and you still have a bank to run. Experienced M&A counsel knows what's standard and what isn't. They know which provisions matter and which don't. They keep you focused on the things that require your attention while handling everything else efficiently. Early in our process, an experienced buyer pulled me aside after a meeting. He said, "Get someone with real experience for your legal counsel. It will save you time and money and let you focus on running the bank." At the time, I wondered if he was trying to gain advantage. He wasn't. He was right. Build that relationship now. Have counsel review governance documents. Get their input on board structure. Let them understand your bank before anything is urgent. Because when the moment comes, you don't want to be educating your lawyer about your institution. Second, the investment banker. This is where most CEOs often make their most expensive mistake. Most assume all investment bankers are interchangeable. They are not. Let me show you why. Years ago, a 5th-generation printing company owner called me. His family was deciding whether to sell one of their businesses. They hired a large brand-name investment banking group to market the company. But he knew my background. I'd spent years specializing in the printing industry. He asked if I'd help alongside their bankers. We agreed to each submit a list of potential buyers. If there was overlap, the family would decide who would work with whom. The big firm bankers sent their list. I sent mine. There was 0 overlap. Here's why. They essentially drew a circle on a map and targeted printing companies nearby. Geography was their strategy. But this company specialized in printing seed packets, the kind you see hanging in hardware stores and nurseries. I knew every printer in the country with that exact capability. We sent out our teasers. 7 out of 10 buyers on my list wanted to move forward, 70%. The big firm bankers, 0 out of 25. 0. That's the difference specialization makes. When evaluating investment bankers, look for three things. First, specialization. Primarily sell-side bank M&A. No buyer conflicts. Second, reach. National buyer intelligence, not regional guesswork. Third, experience. Deals like yours close successfully. And here's the key. Build these relationships before you need them. Invite bankers to present to your board. Have them talk about market conditions, value drivers, and deal structure. You're not hiring them, you're educating your board and creating options. Third, your accounting firm. This one gets overlooked. But having audited financials and an accounting firm who knows your bank can save enormous amounts of time and friction if a situation ever arises. In our case, we maintained audited financials long after we were required to. Why? Because preparedness creates credibility. If you ever need to move quickly, you don't want to be scrambling to validate numbers under pressure. Now let me tell you when to build these relationships. The best time is before any transaction is on the table. That's why you build these relationships now, before urgency ever enters the room. This isn't preparation to sell. This is strategic bench strength. And here's why it matters. Preparation changes the power dynamic. When someone approaches you and your advisors are already in place, you can slow things down. You can evaluate objectively. You can maintain confidentiality. Time represents risk in banking. Markets shift, rates change, windows close. Having your advisor team ready means you can move when the window is open, not months later when it's gone. And most importantly, preparation protects you from being rushed. The scenario CEOs fear isn't selling. It's being forced into decisions under someone else's timeline. Preparedness gives you control. And here's the part most CEOs miss. This applies whether you ever sell or not. Most of you listening will never sell your bank. But understanding your strategic position makes you a better CEO. It helps you allocate capital better, communicate with your board more clearly, and respond with confidence when questions arise. So here's the bottom line. When you bring serious people to the table, you signal that you're serious. Your advisor team, legal counsel, investment banker, accounting firm, creates options. The banks that maintain leverage don't build their teams when they're approached. They build them years before anyone calls. Next episode, we're going to talk about leverage at a deeper level. Not financial leverage, but emotional leverage. The kind that shows up when one decision could affect employees, customers, and communities you've served for decades. Episode 10, Protecting Your Legacy, What Truly Carries Forward. If you're new to the Community Bank Value Playbook, I've created a new listener resource guide to help you get oriented. It includes an overview of the foundational episodes and links to the free resources I reference throughout the series. You'll find it linked in the show notes. And remember, the best decisions come from knowing all your options.